Excellent. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today. Today is September 27th, 2022. This is episode 175, and today we're going to take a look at trait 18. So we're going to take a look at correcting what has been spoiled. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So before we get started, let's say hello to our panel. Let's start with Anna. Hello, Anna, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Great to have you here. Welcome, welcome. And Shelley.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here today, too.
Excellent.
Looking at what's been spoiled.
Beautiful. And my name is Karen Sherwood. And again, welcome to our BG5 Live. So next week, I am not going to be here. So I'm going to turn the helm over to Shelley. So Shelley's going to be leading us in BG5 and next week. So just to give you a heads up. All right, so let's dive in to trait 18 and correcting what has been spoiled. And to do that, we're going to start by taking a look at this move into October. So we're moving into October this week. And so I went ahead and added the 18 here to October as well, because it's going to be part of what we will see in moving to October. So it's the instincts to survive. So one of the things that's really interesting here is that if you take a look, we took a look at the 46 last week. If you take a look at everything after the 46, they are all traits in the survival instinct. So the 18, the 48, the 57, the 32, the 50, the 28, and the 44, before we get to the 1 and we move from purpose fulfilled through connecting or bonding with others, before we get there, when move into transformation, you'll notice that we're going to take a look at all of the survival traits. So we're going to take a look at all of the traits in the survival instinct. So one of the things that you will notice about October is that it is all about the instincts to survive. And so it's the instincts to survive through correction and deep knowledge. So when attuning to the sound, you can hear what can be transformed that is aligned with our values to take risks to fight for what is right, with alertness to know what will benefit the whole. Right. So we are moving into October, and October is all about the survival instincts. It's interesting in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, this is right before winter. So it's the preparing to survive for the winter. I know in the Southern Hemisphere, you're moving into summer. So, you know, and you're currently in spring and moving towards summer as we're in fall, moving towards winter. And so, again, it's correction, the instinct to perfect, for perfection and correction. Also in October, we will take a look at depth. This is a deep well of instinctual wisdom. We're also going to be taking a look at intuitive insight, the deep intuitive attunement to sound. We're also going to take a look at continuity. So this is the instinct for what can be transformed, and also, you know, making sure that you have continuity between the old and the new, right? We're kind of right at that precipice of moving from the era of planning into the era of the individual. And so what works, you know, and what doesn't work, and what can be transformed and what needs to stay the same. We're also going to take a look at the 50 of values. This is the instinct for integrity of the laws. And we'll also take a look at the game player, the instinct for struggle that is worth fighting for. So that's what we're going to be exploring. And again, as we move through October, we're going to be taking a look at the themes of the survival instinct. And we are still in purpose fulfilled through form. So, or I'm sorry, purpose fulfilled through connection, through bonding, through interacting with others. And so it also speaks to the survival instinct as part of the way that we survive is through connecting and bonding and being with others, right? And so connection is part of what we take a look at here in at the BG5 Business Institute. Is we take a look at How do you connect in partnership? How do you connect in small group? How do you connect in larger groups? And so part of our survival as things are changing, because we're moving into transformation next, part of our survival is being able to connect with others. All right, so we will explore that this October. Also, if you take a look at the 18, which is the instinct for perfection and correction, fixing what has been spoiled, what grounds it is also opinions as well, right? So it is the opinions of what needs to be corrected is what grounds the 18. So something interesting to just pay attention to and watch as well. So let's dive in. Before we dive in, however, I wanted to bring up one other piece. Oh, there's also alertness. I forgot alertness here. Also the instinct for what is beneficial for the group as well. Now, I did also want to point this out. Oftentimes in the different qualities, we are in a particular quality in the past and future direction. Sometimes it's only a week or a couple of weeks, but you'll notice that from September to November 26, so approximately 66 days, we are moving into, in a sense, the last phase of this past and future direction. So we're moving to quality 1. This is also something to pay attention to between now and November 27th. We have the past direction of the creative self-expression. This is creation independent of will. This is that timing is everything and time is everything, and self-expression that has its own special timing. So this has been probably a very creative period, or a period of kind of turning inward to kind of see what's the next step, what do we need to create? It can also be, if we take a look at the challenge, the instability that leads to distortion. So here, patience is a virtue and revolution is a vice. Creative instability unless there is patience. And so really for the next couple months, next 66 days or so, until November 27th, again, timing is always something that is really important, right? Following our decision-making strategy, waiting, but really taking a look at, what is the timing to move things forward or not, right? So just really being present to the timing of your creativity. And we also have the driver in intuition, the sensitivity to disharmony and atrophy. So this is the importance of aesthetics, whether inborn or acquired. This is higher knowing through aesthetics. So what looks right, what sounds correct, right? What is beautiful and what is not so beautiful, right? So to be able to distinguish that. And it can also be in the challenge, the assertion of the ego in spite of wisdom. This can be the urge for action that will ignore the wisdom of the higher self. So again, during this time period, not only having patience, but also in a sense, trusting the wisdom of your higher self, trusting the wisdom of following your decision-making strategy. Of course, it is always key, but I would say, especially in these this next month or so, to really pay attention to and allow things to happen at their own timing, paying attention to your own inner knowing. Right? And that's going to lead to that creativity and the correct direction. And I don't know, Shelley or Anna, if there's anything that you see or want to add, or any ahas. Again, anyone who is here live in our Zoom room would love to hear from you as well. And also if you're on Facebook and would like to type something in, would love to hear from you as well.
I can relate to the part that says for the trait 1, creation is independent of will, because if we're talking about timing, will can interfere with timing. And I've experienced lately, and especially the last few weeks, a lot of creative energy, and things have been pending for a while. Mercury's in retrograde, just about to move. But this kind of hovering, this kind of energy that's been percolating, and it's easy to try to push it or will or determine some outcome. but really creative self-expression is very spontaneous.
Mm.
It's just right in the moment. You can't will something like that. You know, musicians and athletes and any kind of creative endeavor, people know you can't push it. It's just, you just have to get yourself in position for it. And I think that's what we can speak to with the 18.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, I was just teaching the knowing circuitry in the foundation course today, and we were talking about the 1 and the 2, and that the circuitry is about it's not there, it's not there, it's not there, and suddenly it's there, or you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, and then suddenly you know. And so again, it is all about the timing and not pushing or forcing it or willing it. It's allowing you can't control the timing, just like Anna was saying. And so it's surrendering to the timing. And when the timing is right, that's when the opportunities open up. Yeah, Shelley.
And this is so great. It just lines up perfectly with what I've been experiencing since Mercury started into retrograde. September 9th was the day we chose to start a big reno project at our house, redoing our roof and our deck. And nothing has gone the way my husband, who has the 214, had planned it. And I've been kind of just feeling my way through it and recognizing he's got really tight timelines. He's trying to get everybody lined up to be somewhere on a specific day. And I would say to him, okay, well, just relax a bit about it though, and be a little open and flexible, because likely stuff's not going to go exactly the way you thought, especially in this 3-week period where all the planets are spinning backwards. So then as things started to fall apart on him, he was telling me that it was my fault because I put that out there and changed all his plans. So it's been great though, because he's really been able to relax and go with the flow of it. And it's been all about this, is we could not push his agenda. It just didn't work. And every time we tried to, something just went wrong that threw it right off track. And when we were both just kind of relaxed and went, okay, so what now? What do we allow to have happen next? And for me, I just kept feeling like I don't want to have a set date on anything. And that freaks him out because he's a planner. He thinks it won't get done till next year then. And I'm like, no, it'll flow, but you're going to have to let it go in its own timing, because I can feel it moving or not. And I can feel when the resistance comes. And it's about kind of letting go of the resistance or relaxing so the resistance disappears, and then stuff starts to fall in place again. And so when he started doing that as well, and one day he just sat down and went, okay, that's it, I'm done, you take over the project. and we just sat for a few minutes and relaxed and thought about it differently, and ended up with a new direction and a new way. Like the direction of the project has changed almost every day in the last 3 weeks. So it's really interesting to see that this is part of what's going on while everything's in retrograde. And to recognize that, the direction is honestly going to be set for you if you just can go with the flow of it. So it's been really interesting to experience this and to be okay with it. Prior to understanding all of this, I'd have been really frustrated and pulling my hair out because things were just not going as we expect. As we speak, I still have piles of old cedar roofing on my deck that have yet to be hauled away and the roof's all done. We're trying to get the deck started. So it's like, yep, it'll get moved when it gets moved, because it's actually even hard to find people who are available to do work right now, because they're all caught up in, everyone seems to be just so busy spinning with everything. And it's okay, well, we'll just get here when you can get here, and that's when it'll happen.
Yep, exactly.
Being able to be
Exactly.
flexible.
Yeah. And so just watching and paying attention to that in your own life, and where, in a sense, you're trying to push or force or will something. So it's not about creativity that's forced by your will. It's allowing the creativity to happen, and really, trusting your own higher knowing, your own decision-making strategy as to when and where and why and how to move forward.
Yeah. And I think the patience is the big key.
Yes.
You have no choice but to just be patient and wait for it to unfold. Because trying to push it, you get the opposite result.
Right. Exactly. Right. So again, between now and November 27th, this is something just to pay attention to in the background, in your own life, in the world, where people are pushing or trying to force things, or, when the timing is correct and things naturally unfold. So let's take a look at today's theme. So today's theme is the 18 of correction. So it's the instinct for imperfection and correction. So it really is about taking a look at what needs to be corrected. So if we take a look at the 18, it's about enjoying discovering, naming, and challenging what needs to be corrected. If you have this trait, you love seeing, in a sense, what's off, or what could make it better, or what needs to be corrected. And you are the perfect person when trying to see what's wrong and where things need improvement. This is really great, especially if you are a consultant, if you're a coach, if what you do in your business is to take a look at how to improve something. This is a beautiful trait to have. And when you experience dissatisfaction with something, chances are, in a sense, it's lost its vitality. It's lost its oomph, and something needs to be changed or corrected to give it back its vitality. So you may also have a fear of authority. So the 18 also carries with it a fear of authority. And at the same time, there's the desire to challenge authority as well. And one of the things, it's like I said, great as a consultant, great as a coach, great in business. However, be careful about being too critical personally. So when you bring this correction into your personal life, sometimes you'll meet resistance and sometimes it won't work so well. So be careful about being too critical personally by judging yourself or judging others, right? So again, there is, this is connected to the survival instinct. So it really is about, okay, what needs to be corrected or what needs to be let go of in order to fully survive. But again, if you are being really critical of yourself, if you're being really critical of others, it can cause a lot of resistance. So that is the trait of correction. And again, it is in the logical circuitry, right? So it is very focused and it's very detailed as well. We also saw that is grounded by the 17. It's grounded by opinions, right? And opinions is also about discovering, naming, and challenging, challenging different opinions in order to correct or find what the correct opinion is, right, among all the other opinions. So again, it is taking a look at what needs to be corrected. So I would love to hear, Anna, your experience. I don't think any of us have the 18. So if any of you have the 18, we would love to hear from you. Or if you have a story or someone that you are personally connected with that you would like to share a story about the 18, we would love to hear from you. So all you have to do is raise your hand, or you can type in the chat as well and let us know that you have something to share. So let's start with Anna.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. One is to back up to what we were talking about with the past and future direction when we were talking about patience, and Shelley's great illustration of, a project not going the way you had planned. It's hard to have patience when you don't have any feedback. And in the survival instinct, one of the why sound is so important is because sound gives you feedback. This little whisper, this quiet little voice that gives you direction, gives you impulses, gives you messages. Your body instinctively knows what's going on, but it takes a little bit of sensitivity to be able to listen to it. So when a project isn't going your way and you're willful or whatever, it's not just patience. In my experience, it's not just patience, it's listening for the feedback, because then you can relax. Oh, this is not going right. And oh, I'm getting a little message, I'm getting a little signal, however they come in for you. I'm getting a little voice in my head that says, oh, if I, call this person, and then maybe they're the person that removes all the cedar from your deck. I mean, we don't know how it all works ahead of time, but instinct has it working for us if we listen to it. And so that segues with developing patience. Patience all by itself it's hard to develop that ability without feedback. And so instinct feeds back to us and helps us be patient. Yes. The other thing I was going to say, an example is right now I just started a fitness program, and my friend is a fitness trainer, and he's got the 18. And today I was doing I can't remember the name of the exercise, but he was saying, he was adjusting my form, which I think is fascinating. It's like, back up a little bit, bend forward, use your core. I mean, he was correcting, self-correct, showing me how to self-correct, how to get into the proper form. And I just thought, it's his birthday coming up. So he's got 18 as core essence. And I just thought, oh, this is perfect. This is what he does. This is like his thing, and improving people's diets and this and that. And then he got on this, he was also wearing a t-shirt with George Floyd's name on it, which in the States, that's a big representation of a whole movement, rights, all kinds of things, that needs correcting, needs a little bit of steering and improvement in our social interactions, political interactions, all that stuff. So it's a collective improvement, a signal of collective improvement. But I thought it was fascinating to see how just a minute little physical shift in position created a lot more vitality in my ability to do this particular exercise. I have a little kinky shoulder, so it really matters that I don't injure myself and still get the improvement. He was perfect at perfecting the correction. I just thought that was fascinating.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And that's a perfect example. And again, that is part of his life work. And it's interesting that that you're experiencing that as well with that correction. Yeah. Beautiful. Yes, Shelley.
Yeah, that's amazing, Anna. It's very similar to my daughter, who has the 17 as her conscious core essence and the 18 as her grounding and balance. And similarly, she's very much into body work. She's working with a studio right now that is focused on, they've got several different fun ways for people to interact and learn about their body and being in their body. And her particular practice is handstands. She used to do gymnastics, but she wanted to learn how all of the really minute, tiny little muscles needed to be corrected so that she could get a perfected handstand. And there's literally a whole class. You can do that regularly on a regular basis to learn just how to keep that form. And something she recognizes that body work is really important for her to be able to feel the vitality. She's got the full strength. She has the 58 is her unconscious core essence. So she's got both of those there, and the opinions as well. She's very much tuned into and works with a lot of people collaboratively. She's an advisor, and on all of there's many different social things that she's interested in, helping sort of heal from that. And she's actually looking at pursuing becoming a doula, because there's something about the transition of transitions that people go through, not only bringing a new life into being, but also end of life. So those transitions of vitality coming in and leaving has really been a theme she's been exploring, and she's about to take some training on that next year to kind of have some skills around it that she's already got lots of things she's developed. But I thought that was really fascinating too, and how it connects with her life work of vitality and the opinions and grounding and balancing in this correction, and making the corrections that are needed for people to stay well and healthy. So yeah, it's very fascinating to see how this all shows up. I think Karen froze. Are you frozen, Karen? We'll just give her a minute to.
There's also in the chat, Susan was writing. Do you want to read that, Shelley? Or?
Sure. Yes. And I see Tanya's also got the conscious. So we'll pull you up in a second here, Tanya. Susan, not able to talk with the 18. And yes, when she sees a website or attends a musical or any event, I take it in, and yet my first response always starts with what can be improved. Something I agree doesn't go well in my personal life. Very true. So I'm the host now. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Suzanne. Susan, and let me just see if I can, Tanya, I will promote you to panelists so that you can share with us your experience of having Conscious 18.2. Is this your Conscious Core Essence?
I'm not sure which area it's in. I realize I have the 18.6 and the 18.2. One is conscious on the 18.2 and unconscious on the 18.6.
Awesome. So yeah, how does this show up for you? What do you notice?
Well, what I appreciate about what you said, and Anna, is validating, first of all. It can be tough to be the one in the room that has the keen ability to point out what needs correction. So I think patience becomes important, because I've got to remember that timing in terms of how people receive and are ready to process what I suggest to be corrected, there's timing involved with that. And if they're not ready, then there's going to be some kind of statement made that could be maybe pushback, doubt. And so I need to stay patient, which can be a challenge when I'm being perceived as the one that's the pain in the butt, because I'm the messenger for what is called to be looked at for change, for consideration for change.
Right.
So I really appreciated the examples that you gave, because precision is also another point to this, and the concept of first things first. In order to bring people on board, sometimes I literally have to say, okay, let's look at first things first, and then walk them forward, waiting to see and gauge how that's received. To do that, I got to be precise. I got to be precise in the feedback. There's another word that Anna used, that I get from the group in terms of readiness, and if I am on target or not, and that requires precision to know where to move next, if that makes sense.
That does make sense, and because you have it in the natural, it's something that gets called out of you. This is also a recognized and invited trait, and since it's connected to the survival instinct, something Anna was mentioning earlier is that what you're probably hearing or listening for when you're in that group is that instinct. You've got to know when the timing is right for you to say something, when it feels like it will be received. So it feels like you're almost waiting for a bit of recognition and an opening, which is like an invitation, and paying attention to your survival instinct to really hear that and sense that for when the timing is correct. thanks so much for sharing that. My daughter also struggled a lot with that before we understood what her life work was about, that everywhere she went, all she would see were all the things that were broken and needed fixing. And it was really overwhelming for her to feel like she was the one that had to fix it all. And so I know that took a little bit of unwinding to help her let go of realizing she doesn't need to fix anything unless somebody recognizes and invites her to help them fix something. And so that can bring a bit of relief there too. Do you experience that as well? Do you kind of feel compelled because you see it all, that you need to fix it all?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I do feel a compulsion to speak about something that looks off, or I sense is calling for attention. Really, when I do work with groups, because there's that group dynamic, and there may be more than one in the room that is calling for that correction. So it's almost like the frequency for sensing whether to speak up or not, I suspect, gets stronger the more people that carry that call to correction in the moment. Yeah, so I understand what you mean. Do I feel like I need to correct everything? Maybe that would be something I would be open to see if that's part of how I operate with the trait 18 or not. It's not something I've ever thought of.
Yeah. Well,
Also, correction is about the collective. So when it gets inverted, let's say, into personal criticism or personal imperfection, people can get really defensive. So I like what you were saying about kind of sensing the group, because it is collective, and it is tricky to address something in the group, something specific, but yet something collective. But people can either, the unfortunate part of the trait is personalizing it and projecting it. But if you're aware that it's actually collective correction, people can use it better.
Yeah, that makes sense. It can, like I said, it can be a challenge to be the one to deliver a message when the group isn't necessarily ready. But the divine says it's time.
Yes, and so you have a bit of thick skin developed from doing that.
I'm getting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate what you've shared in these last minutes, because that has helped me understand to be okay and accept more of the 18's gift in being the delivery or the messenger for the correction. Because quite often what I see is people want to deliver a message for correction, and it's not the right timing. And there's such a big, intense blowback that can happen that I watch it enough that it causes me to question my own abilities. And I think understood right here is, if I'm true to the energy and stay out of the being too critical personally in the moment, whether it's on their feedback or how I delivered it or something of that nature, then I can relax and understand if I follow the trait correctly. Then I can feel solidly accepting of the fact that I'm the messenger and don't have to worry.
Yes, wonderful. And the other thing that pops up for me there in what you're saying is, because this is a recognized and invited trait, and you have it in quality 2, which is about the natural, people will see it in you that you have the ability to bring correction. And so if you're able to relax and just relax, you may find people asking you, what do you see? What do you think needs to be corrected? And then you'll know absolutely that the timing is perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And I see Lori's got her hand up too. Lori, do you want to, let me move you up here? There you go.
Hello. I don't have the 18, but I teach a class for 6 and 7-year-olds with an assistant who has it in Truth and Transformation, both conscious and unconscious. And she's British, so she has very fixed ideas about how things should be. And in the middle of a class, she'll say, the paper clips need to be over here, or we need to move the chairs like this. And it's super disruptive. But when I think about it, she's right. It does. She has the correct idea of the flow of things. And I've spoken to her about, could you wait till after the class and we'll fix it next time? And she said she absolutely cannot wait. And when she sees something, and it's, projected, so she doesn't wait to be asked. She said when she sees something, she feels that like the world is out of integrity. She really uses that word, and that by asking children to reach a certain distance to get paper clips, let's say, that it's abusive to the children. And she did have a rough time with her parents. And I guess I'm an authority figure. She's somewhat younger than I am. So I do get it. But one time, someone from the administration of the program that we're in came in and saw her doing that. And they told her that she got in trouble, and they said, if you're on probation now, you got to stop doing it. And she can't stop. She can't help herself. So we're kind of dancing with that. But I thought it was really interesting learning about the 18. And fortunately, I have her birth time, so I was able to check. And sure enough, she's got it.
Wow. Yeah. And that's an example of, especially if she's a younger person, she's still trying to figure things out and how things work. And getting to understand how these things show up. Often when we're a little bit older, just through trial and error and life experience, we figure more things out. Like Tanya, sounds like you've learned over time just how to trust your instincts and are paying attention to a lot of things, where when it's a younger person, they may not have had enough experience yet to get that. So, but she'll be building that as she goes along. And is she's somebody you're working with as a client, or?
She's an assistant teacher in a group
Right.
that I'm running. And she's in her 40s and gets into trouble in a lot of ways because of this habit. So it's unconscious and conscious. So I don't know how much control she has, and it's in the first and third line. So she's bumping into things, and she does run into a lot of problems. But we are working with that, and I'm just hoping if she can wait, it would be totally fine. It's just the timing is, and the delivery is disruptive.
All right.
One comment as I'm listening, did you say she had it in transformation? Because
Yes.
that might be the segue, is to help her make transitions. Even though she might feel the impulse to move the paper clips or say something right then, maybe you could segue in, well, can we transition from whatever the kids are doing away for a minute or 2 or 5 for the right transition to say that. I'm just curious if that might work.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. And I have said, could we talk about this after class? And there's no yes on that. But if we could do that in a few minutes, that would maybe soften the kind of the feeling that she's hitting a wall for her.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thanks, Lori. I'll turn it back to you now, Karen.
Well, amazing conversation. I apologize for that. My internet went out, and I don't know what happened. So luckily I was able to get back in. And in the meantime, thank you for Shelley for taking the home, and really amazing to see how this trait shows up and how it is utilized as well. And let's take a look at how you get affected when you're connected. So taking a look at the shadow of trait 18 and when you don't have trait 18. So this is specifically if you have trait 58, but you don't have trait 18. And trait 58 is about joyous vitality. And we've talked about that quite a bit of, when, what you're correcting is correcting those things when the joy is vitality, or the vitality in whatever it is you're correcting is not there anymore. And so the shadow of trait 18 is the lack of awareness of what to fix. So the survival instinct is an awareness function. So you have the pressure of the vitality, but you don't have the awareness of what actually needs to be fixed. So the question is, do you have the pressure to fix things that bug you, but you're not sure what needs to be corrected? Again, this is especially if you have the 58. Can you sense when the joy is being limited by something that's not correct, but you don't know how to make it better? So the problem is with the ability to sense when something is weak or unhealthy, you can sense that, but you may feel desperate to be of service in some way and push too hard to figure out what should be fixed all by yourself. And one of the, when we take a look at the solution is that you're not designed to do it by yourself. You're designed to work with others that can help you channel your energy correctly and appropriately and apply it to where it is most needed. So when you're working with others, their awareness helps you focus your energy on determining which improvement should be made and also how to manifest them as well. So I'm really curious to know if there is anyone who has the 58 on the other side that's here live in our Zoom room, but you don't have the 18. We would love to hear from you as well. And Anna or Shelley, how have you seen this show up as well? Yes, Anna.
I have a great little example, funny, one of those little quirky things. My daughter has the 58, does not have the 18. And she bought me a new shower curtain and a few bathroom things. And I live in the desert. I had a shower curtain I loved. It had fish all over it. And it was blue and it was just made me happy. And so she bought me a new shower curtain and it's beautiful. But she said, Mom, that's so juvenile, and for me, it was, to me, it was delightful, but in her eyes, it was not appropriate. And so she bought me this new shower curtain and I liked it, but it just did not have the same vitality for me. And she was offering, without being asked, an improvement in my life that I didn't really want. And that's kind of how this works.
Yeah. Great example, Anna. Yeah, Shelley.
Yeah, that's funny. That's what comes to mind too. I have a client who's got teenage kids, I'd say and so they're all starting to individuate and find themselves. She's got the 58 and not the 18, and is constantly has that pressure on her, feeling like she needs to do something to improve their lives. And it was a major theme of argument with her kids, is that she was constantly trying to help them improve their lives, but they didn't want to improve their lives. They were happy doing what they were doing. They're happy, getting to know and being themselves, but she was constantly kind of, well, no, you got to do this. This is going to make your life better. And then you got to focus on this and that'll make your life better. And it was like a scatter shotgun approach too. There wasn't anything specific, and it almost, I could feel the stress and pressure it was putting on her, which she's got her drive and stamina defined, which then puts stress and pressure on everyone around her. And it was causing a lot of kind of upset in the family, where the kids would just disappear. If she was home, they'd go off to their rooms. And it was the opposite of what she was trying to accomplish. But now just talking about this and focusing in on this particular trait, I can see now where a lot of that pressure was coming from, that and the angst that's causing everybody, because she's unsure. She knows something could be better, but she's not quite sure what, and doesn't know exactly what specifically needs correcting. So it's just a bunch of things like fix this, 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 and this, and your life will be fine. Well, it ends up sounding like their lives have nothing going well in them at all. So it can be something to really be aware of and pay attention to, that having that feeling the way you've described it here, that you've got this energy to spend and you want to help make things better. You just don't know what to do. So being aware that you can have that effect on people around you, and try to correct things that aren't even wrong.
Exactly.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly, exactly. And again, when working with others, then it can help channel that energy in the correct way where you can really figure out what does needs to be fixed. And Jalissa, hey Jalissa, welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I have the 58 in an undefined root. And I can definitely say yes, we do tend to do that. And this is twice in my graph. So it feels like, it almost feels like an uncontrollable pressure to want to fix things. And a lot of times, yes, I did not ask, hey, do you want my opinion? Or hey, do you want to hear this or that? You just kind of like feel like if they're telling you something, is because they want you to fix it. And that's what that felt like for me. And that's what my thought was. It wasn't that, hey, maybe they just needed to kind of like talk it out and hear themselves talk. And so that's the 58 showed for me in the should. It was a lot of should. Oh, you should, blah, 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 blah. You should, you should, you should. That's what 58 looked like for me. And like Shelly said, it wasn't any sort of like, it was just a lot of different things. And I believe maybe because I don't have the 18, it was not a very concrete fix. It was just a lot of thoughts coming out of different ways that this thing that I thought needs fixing could get fixed.
Mm-hmm. And you probably came up against resistance as well with that.
Tons. I mean, I could feel it in the air. And it was definitely not heard. And I felt like that person would get uncomfortable. And just because, yeah, it was just not very, concrete. And it was just a lot of different thoughts coming at them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jalissa, for sharing. That's a beautiful, beautiful example as well in taking a look at the shadow of trait 18. Well, beautiful. Well, what I would love for everyone that is on our panel and everyone that has spoke, in just a moment, if you can just kind of ponder what should people be aware of this week as the 18 shows up this week. So what are some things just to pay attention to in the environment, pay attention to for yourself, pay attention to what may show up, or how you could take advantage of being in trait 18 for this week. And so as you're pondering that, again, if you are not sure, if you're new to BG5, you're not sure, do I have trait 18? Do I have trait 58? Do I have any of these traits? You can download a free report. You can also get your chart at the BG5businessinstitute.com. You can also watch past episodes of the BG5 Live, both on YouTube and also in our free resource library. And also check out our courses and our programs. We have our September semester that is just kicked off. There's still classes that you can join if you want to jump in last minute. Also, if you are preparing for the future, our next semester is going to start in January, and we would love to have you in one of our courses. All right, so let's ponder the 18, and the 18 is going to be around for this entire week in taking a look at fixing what's been spoilt as we move into October. And I would love to hear again from each of our panelists, and for all of you who spoke today, what are some things to be aware of, pay attention to? How can we take advantage of trait 18? Would you like to start us off, Anna?
Yes. I would, I'm pondering just sort of listening to the field, since this is collective, what's coming up in the news, what's coming up in your neighborhood, if you go to the grocery store, what are people talking about when you're standing in line? You know, that kind of collective world, you know, what are people wanting correction for, or what are they complaining about that needs correcting? You know, it's possible to sort of see what's the correct use and the incorrect use of it, let's say. Also, if you're feeling personally like somebody's, you know, like what's already been said, you know, somebody's personally trying to correct you, just check out your resistance. Maybe there's some truth to what they're saying, maybe not. Just kind of stay loose about it and use it if it's useful, and don't use it if it's not useful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Anna. And Tonya.
I think in terms of kind of springboarding off of what Anna said, it would just whatever doesn't feel comfortable or correct or off. You know, maybe it's a time for personal inquiry as well as collective in terms of, you know, how am I, if you're a generator, a manifesting generator, how am I responding? Or how is it that, how might it be that this person's reaction is indicative of a correction or not? Just developing more personal awareness.
Yeah, beautifully said, Tonya. Thank you so much. And yes, Lori.
Well, it's interesting that in the financial markets this week, everything is going through a correction and it's dropping pretty quickly. So that must be meant to be at this time. And also just in our personal lives to wait for the invitation to criticize, and as well to listen to criticisms or critiques that we might receive, because they may well be accurate and useful.
Yes. Yeah, beautifully said, Lori. Yeah, and paying attention to where corrections are, as Anna started us off with, where corrections are happening in the world and in the financial markets and in other areas as well. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lori. Thank you for your input. And Jalissa.
I would say that going back to human design, maybe that person that I am trying to correct with the 58, it might be a projector who just needs a sounding board. And maybe it's not beneficial for that person. And then just kind of waiting for the invitation to come.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jalissa. And Shelley.
Yeah, everything that's been said has been wonderful. For me, because this is completely open for me, I'm going to pay attention to the wisdom I can gain from just noticing how corrections are showing up, and how the challenge side of the corrections are showing up as well. Just noticing with the survival instinct, if I can sense the corrections more intuitively that need to be done, and then, you know, paying attention to being invited to share what I see or what I recognize could be corrected. So really about waiting for the appropriate timing, because as we've talked about, this can be really debilitating for both the person who can see the correction and wants to give it to improve things, and the people receiving it. So just being really sensitive to the timing around it, and the listening for sensing into when you're being invited to share it, because it will land so much more in a way that will be received and could actually help move things forward. Could be taken in and not resisted, and go with the flow of it, to be able to smoothly put some things into place that need correcting. So
Yeah.
Thanks so
Beautiful.
much.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And thank you everyone who participated. Such a rich discussion and such a great way to really discover what this trait is all about. And then also paying attention this week so that you can really understand it in a deeper way, both for yourself. So even if you don't have trait 18 and you don't have trait 58, you can, as Shelley said, be the witness, be able to see the corrections that are happening. If you do have the 18 or you do have the 58, see how that shows up, see how it affects you personally, and just paying attention to what is being corrected or what needs to be corrected as we go through this week, and also take a look at where we're resisting those things that may need to be corrected or may not. And just paying attention to all of it. And of course, following your decision-making strategy, waiting for the right timing, as we talked about at the very beginning, is everything. All right, everyone, I am going to be gone next week, so I won't see you next week. Shelley's going to take over. I'll see you the following week. Have a fabulous week, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. And Shelley will see you all next week. So thank you so very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you next week.